Last week, I reviewed Macallan 12 as a result of a Twitter poll and promised that the next two episodes would cover the next two whiskeys. And today, we're up to Aberlour. Let's do this. What the f? Hi, welcome to Whisky Riffs. I'm Kevin, and today we're going to review Aberlour 12. Now, as you see, it's all gone, but there is some in the glass, so we have one shot at doing a tasting for this. Like the Macallan 12, I don't know why I'm carrying an empty bottle, but like the Macallan 12, the Aberlour is a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, and it's aged 12 years. The difference is that Aberlour is aged in two different types of casks. It has a sherry cask, like the Macallan, and also a used oak cask, probably a bourbon cask. It didn't actually say on the website. Because Aberlour is aged separately in used oak and sherry casks, and then blended later, they have much more control over how much sherry and the final taste of this whiskey. The Aberlour distillery is located in Speyside, just like Macallan, and in fact they're pretty close to each other. I think there's just a 4 or 5 mile difference. Aberlour is, as their website says, very proud of their small and intimate distillery. The Aberlour distillery was founded in 1879 by James Fleming, and it's now owned by Pernod Ricard. I have no idea if that's how you say it. Pernod Ricard. We'll go with that. Which also owns lots of other whiskeys, including Glenlivet, and I think several other whiskeys that begin with Glen, which isn't surprising for the Highlands. There's a lot of whiskeys that start with Glen because Glen is a Scottish term for valley. And a lot of the Highland whiskeys are going to be located in the valley because that's where the water is. The river Spey flows right through it, hence Speyside. The side of the Spey. Speaking of whiskeys that start with Glen, back when I was a whiskey noob and would go into a bar, and the only thing that I felt safe ordering was a Maker's Mark. And it's a great whiskey, very easy to drink, and I knew nothing about other whiskeys. So every time I'd go into a bar, I'd simply order a Maker's Mark. One night, I started to order my normal drink, and before I could get the word Makers out, my friend Scotty stopped me and said, "Why don't you expand your flavor profile here? Why don't you try something different?" I said, "I have no idea what to try." He said, "Pick something that starts with a Glen. You're pretty safe with a Scotch that starts with a Glen." So I started drinking Scotch. What was your go-to whiskey when you started drinking? Did you have one that you would immediately order or automatically order? Maybe you still do. Let me know in the comments. Now, because there's so many distilleries in the Highlands area, in the Speyside area, which is a subsection of the Highlands, Judy and I have a trip planned to go to Scotland in June, and I'm going to try to hit as many of those as I can. Even though they're pretty close together, it's going to be hard to get through all the distilleries there. So I'll give my best effort to hit as many as I can and report back to you. Aberlour 12 is bottled at 40% alcohol by volume or 80 proof. which is the bare minimum. I rarely buy whiskeys at this low proof because I tend to appreciate the cask strength or just a little more bite to my whiskey, but they've done a really good job with the sherry finish and the double casking. So there's some good stuff in here. Let's dig into it and see what we find. So right away on the nose, this low proof, 40%, is going to not hit you in the face with that alcohol burn. In fact, I can stick my nose right in there and barely get any of that alcohol vapor that normally clogs up my nostrils and ruins the tasting process. It's very sweet. There is honey and like a sweet apple, like a red apple that maybe like a Red Delicious or something that's really, really sweet and not too complex on the nose. A little bit of spice. I'm getting chocolate, and certainly the sherry is giving it a sweetness. A little bit of chocolate. Seems like it's a sweeter chocolate, not normally the dark chocolates I get out of certain whiskeys. The finish has a lot of spice, oak spice, chocolate. Definitely can taste the sherry and the sweetness. I'm gonna try a little bit of water in here. We are at 40%, but still worth a go. See if it changes anything. Now, adding water to 40% whiskey or 80 proof, you want to be extra careful because it will dilute pretty quickly. And because this is a sweeter whiskey, because there's not as much to cut with it, I don't know what the water is going to do. I don't know if I've ever added water to Aberlour before. Got sweeter on the nose. And the taste got spicier. The oak spice, the caramel still there. The chocolate now tastes like dark chocolate after adding the water. And the finish has a lot of spice. Yeah, it's experiment. It might be worth for you to try a little bit of water in it. I thought it was going to tame it down too much, but I think it's actually holding up to water. It's probably due to the sherry casks. That does give it a lot more flavor that doesn't simply go away because it's been proofed down. Yeah, now with the extra added water, it's just friendlier and friendlier. The spikiness even feels like it's gone away. But I do have that lingering oak spice, and I don't know, well, maybe it's chocolate, dark chocolate and oak spice. That's not a bad finish. Sure, go ahead, add a little water to it, see what you think. Let me know in the comments if you have different flavors that you get out of it. As far as price goes, Aberlour's fairly affordable for a 12-year-old Scotch. It's $43 that I paid for this. I can pay as high as $52 around me. Aberlour 12 is really pretty easy to get. I don't think I've ever had a problem getting a bottle. I also, even though I like this expression of Aberlour, the 12, I am really fond of the Abundir. It's spelled A''BUNADH, pronounced Abundir, and that means original. And it is even more sherried, and one of my favorite whiskeys. I don't have a bottle right now. I will get a bottle, and I'm going to do a review of it because I really love it. But I want to know what your favorite Highland Scotch is. So put that in the comments too. And if I have it, or if I can get it, I will definitely do a review of it. The next episode is the final of the 3 that I promised you, be Highland Park 12. It's kind of a Highland whiskey. I'll get into that more next time, but the flavor profile is definitely different from Speyside. Please give me a like if you enjoyed this video, And subscribers always help. And bang that bell so I can notify you when a new episode's available. Cheers. Don't feel bad for me. I got plenty of whiskey in there. I'll be fine. I'll survive.